I was driving in the northeast to a fishing spot in the middle of the day when I noticed this pickup truck behind me flashing its lights. I was driving at the speed limit, 40 miles per hour. It was a two-lane road and I had to turn right in about half a mile, so I ignored it. When I turned right, I see the truck following me. No big deal. The parking lot is at the end of this neighborhood, with the only road in that forks at the end of the point and meets again in the parking lot neighborhood. But they are going fishing too. I see them trailing me almost all the way to the parking lot, where they briefly lost me when they took the other fork. I felt something off, so I backed into a parking spot, kept the car running. Sure thing the truck shows up and pulls in and positions itself facing the side of my car. At this point, I noticed that it does not have a front license plate and the windows are heavily tinted. It's probably an out-of-state pickup truck. Not crazy to think that it might be armed. The car is just standing there, flashing its lights and slowly nudging forward. I'm getting scared, and if I leave, they could keep following me. If I call 911, they could split any time. But they were also starting to feel that they are in a bad spot because suddenly they back out of the parking lot. I realize that they don't want me to see their rear license plate. I'm scared, but I'm also pissed off, and I follow them. This confuses them, and they stop, blocking the entrance to the parking lot. If they keep backing out, I could stay on them and get the license plate. So they start flashing their lights again. Another car is heading towards the parking lot, and they use this chance to back out and quickly drive away. I let the other car in and drive after them. I don't see them until I get to the stop sign where the road forks. They were waiting for me there to see if I would follow them. We stare at each other for a minute and then I leave. I see them following me slowly at a distance. I get out of the main road, then onto the highway, and then I don't see them again. I drive to the mall parking lot to calm down. My whole body is shaking, and I'm a big burly guy. I'm still pissed though, so I head back to the local police station and file a report. I also shared some pictures with them. They were nice, but without a license plate there was not much that they can do. They advised me to call immediately next time. Try to use a speaker or Bluetooth. Also avoid deserted parking lots at the edge of the woods. But I only realized there that I was being followed. Another thing is to not follow them under any circumstance. Maybe they were some out-of-state kids. The area next to a college. They were very scared of me seeing their license plate, but their heavily tinted windows and missing front license plate were very creepy. I could not see anything inside that truck. I still don't know whether to find the whole situation scary or just stupid. This happened years ago when I was around 19 or 20 and I worked at retail part-time at the mall. I was closing that night and left around 10:30 p.m. to head home. And I often took inside streets, first freeways, which included a small stretch of back road that usually was pretty empty, especially during that time of the night. This particular night, I noticed a car about 10 minutes into my 30-minute drive, going the same way as me, but I didn't think much of it. As we were approaching the stretch of the back road that usually deserted at this time, the driver behind me starts flashing their high beams and slowing down. speeding up while tailgating me. I remember the feeling of panic that they might hit my car. Eventually, the car pulls beside me, and I can see a middle-aged man who is pointing towards the back of my car and motioning for me to roll down my window. I roll my window down halfway, and he says something about how my tire looks like. It's flattening, and I'm going to damage the rim if I don't pull over soon. I tell him I don't know how to change a tire, but I'm not too far from home, so I should be fine. But he's pretty insistent about how it will only take a few minutes, and he is happy to help. I know something is off because my car seems to be driving fine. I politely say I'm fine, but thanks anyways, and roll up my window. He drives next to me for what feels like forever, but I couldn't have been more than a minute or so. At the point something feels off that I'm afraid to even physically look in his direction. I focus on the road the best I can, and eventually he slows down and moves behind me again. After a few minutes, we reach a more populated, well-lit part of town, and I see him make a U-turn. I get home and take a look, and my tire is perfectly fine. I have no idea if he followed me from the mall or what the man's intentions were, but I think it's safe to say they weren't anything good. I even had my dad check all my tires the next morning, and the pressure on them was in the normal range. I still think of this night from time to time, and it makes me nauseous to think about how different things might be today if I had decided to pull over them that night. I was debating on posting this year, but the more I think about it, the more unsettled I feel. There is a bar down the road from me where I sometimes go after work to have a much needed drink. The other day, when my car was in the shop and I was in the mood to chill at the bar and eat some greasy food, I texted my friend and asked if she wanted to go with me. She said yes and offered me a ride. However, she had obligations she needed to get to and couldn't stay for long. I told her that it was fine and I could call myself a cheap Uber to get home. As soon as my friend leaves the bar, this man, all tall, skinny, mid-60s, comes over and immediately takes a seat. At this point, I'm waiting on the to-go I ordered and was actively searching for an Uber. I was having a difficult time finding one, and he had been watching my frustration because he asked, "Can't find a ride?" To which I reply, "I'm trying to find an Uber. It's just taken a while." "Do you live close?" "I'll take you." "No, thank you. I'll wait for my Uber." Minutes later, he tells me he found me a lift and they'll be there in 4 minutes. I tell him I'm going to find my own Uber, but thank you. 5 minutes pass and I can feel his eyes boring into me. He receives a phone call and it's from the Lyft driver and lets me know they are there if I'm still interested and I want to ride. I decline again. At this point, my to-go has arrived and I'm out the door. I did find an Uber shortly after while waiting on the sidewalk and didn't think too much of the interaction, as I was just happy to be home. But the more I think about it, this man was so adamant about getting me in the lift. He didn't even know where I was going. What was the destination for that ride? I'm thanking the inner feeling that told me not to accept the ride from that man.